So this is the first video that'll take you through the basic ideas about how to write an effective conceptual essay in English. This first one, I'm basically going to take you through an overview of what a conceptual essay is and what are some of the key elements that you need in order to be able to write an effective one. To understand that, the first thing that we really need to do is cover what is it that we actually do in English, and what is it that we're trying to learn. So if we think about what we do in classes, usually the very first thing that we do is we try and understand what the text communicates. So that's understand the content and understand what a composer is communicating. The second thing that we look at is how the composer does that, or how the texts communicate ideas. So we understand how language is used to communicate these ideas and how we can then also use language to communicate our own ideas. Now, usually when we think of responding to a text, because this is the third step, we generally think of this in fairly limited, almost literal terms, a very direct process. We basically say what we think the text says and whether or not we agree. But as you'll find, in English there's a lot more to it than that. What you need to understand about responding to a text is that it's more about what you do with the text once you have understood the way it is constructed. So responding to the text is pretty much anything that you do or think as a result of engaging with the text. So responding also means to challenge the ideas of the text, to raise questions, to identify problems, to provide alternatives, apply the ideas to new contexts, adapt and appropriate for your own purpose, and ultimately develop our own unique ideas. So essentially, studying a text in English is not so much understanding what the text says, but what you can then do with the text, or what you can do as a result of having responded to that text. So the end point for responding to a text is also about using the text to explore ideas. And they're generally the ideas that are presented in the text or addressed by the text, or even that you find as a result of responding to that text. It's also about using the text to develop your own ideas. But with so many ideas that you can find in any particular text, or that you can develop as a response to any particular text, it's never possible to cover all of them. And no one is ever actually testing you on everything that happens in that text or all of the possible interpretations. Instead, you always study a text within a particular unit of work, and the unit of work is what gives you that focus. It determines which ideas you need to focus on and which ideas you need to then explore and develop. So the key idea here is that you are not assessed on how much you know about the text, that is, the characters, the author, the historical context, what happens on page 52, what happens in scene 3. That is important, because that's the basis for something that's far more important, which is your ability to explore and develop ideas using language. So you are assessed on how you use the text to explore and develop ideas. When you're asked to write a conceptual essay, you're being assessed on the ideas that you develop relevant to the unit. You're being assessed on how you use the text or texts, because sometimes you study more than one text, to support those ideas. And finally, how you actually communicate those ideas. So how well written your response is, how logical, how clear and concise, the type of language that you use. So, to put it in the context of the kind of terminology that we're going to be using, explain how to write one of these essays, you are assessed on the ideas. And these ideas become your thesis. How you support those ideas with textual evidence. And then finally, how you communicate those ideas. So how well you actually use a logical, well-written, well-structured essay.